I am joined today and excited to be joined today by Rusty Cochran, who is the president at We Care Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, which is one of the most successful HVAC and plumbing companies in the country. And they actually just celebrated 23 years in business. So one that my understanding started in your family's living room and has since grown to over 200 employees and multiple warehouses. The company has received numerous awards, including Dave Lennox Awards, and Angie's List Super Service Award, and the CCA Contractor of the Year. So congratulations. And again, congratulations on 23 years in business. So welcome, Rusty. Excited to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate the conversation.
Absolutely. Us too. I'm delighted to be able to ask some questions and have you share some insights. As we were kind of giggling about earlier, what not to do in business, but also what you should be doing. So thank you so much for bringing your expertise. So being 23 years in the business and essentially starting from sweat equity, it sounds like, what do you think are some common misconceptions about running a business, and how do you address them?
I think one of the misconceptions is if I do it, I'm going to open up my own company and then I'll get to work whenever I want and take off as much time as I want, type of thing. And,
Yeah.
it's depending on what you put into it, because that's what you'll get out of it. So, I put my blood, sweat, and tears into this thing. And, it started out originally, like you said, 23 years ago. It was
Yeah.
in our house. My wife answered the phones and I went and ran service calls, did the installs, and
Yep.
had to learn how to do sales calls. Otherwise, I would not have any work. So, um, you end up working more, and it doesn't turn off. Depending on how you want it to grow or not. I mean, in the beginning, there is no other person to pass the torch to. You're on 24/7, and I'm still that way. I love what I do, so I enjoy it.
Mhm.
And I mean, just a little short story, but
Yeah.
my wife and I, for our 25th year anniversary last year, we went to Montana, and she wanted to find this really remote spot. We have employees we can count on to do the company. If I'm missing for a week or something like that, no problem.
Mhm.
And anyway, we were there, and she's like, "It's going to be off the grid. They're going to be on this,
She's
river."
got a strategy. I sense a
We had a
strategy
strategy.
here.
We're going to go fly fishing. We're going to, do just different things up there in
Yeah.
Montana. Anyway, we get there and we have this little cabin right on the river, and it's like, oh look, I got full bars. So I didn't miss a beat.
Like, gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean,
So anyway,
I applaud her efforts. If your wife is listening, I applaud her
yeah,
efforts.
right.
But yeah, that's interesting because one of the questions I was going to ask was, it is so true for, entrepreneurs, by nature, high performers, high achievers, and, it's check this box and move on to the next thing. But the excitement of it. So, how do you balance, or I like to say, work-life harmony, right? How do you find work-life harmony, knowing even in 23 years in business and you have a solid team, that it could be hard to shut off. But how do you then ensure that you are still experiencing harmony between the personal and the professional?
I'm not the right one to ask that, because I don't, I mean, it's always on. I mean, like something's going on, someone has a question, like you said, we had roughly 200 employees. And if they have a question, and, they have, their channel, who they're going to call, but
Mhm.
maybe it's the weekend or night or something like that. They can't get a hold of their manager, whatever it is. So, if it ends up becoming the call to me, then I'm going to take that call, and I'm going to, hopefully be able to help them with whatever it is that they're asking. It could be a simple question. It could be, who knows what, but
Yeah.
I don't know it all out there, but I mean, hopefully I can help them through whatever their question is. So
Hmm.
I'm not a good person to say that. Like, if even the employees back in the day, if they had, they're going to go to their kid's baseball game, then, I want them to go do those things. So I might miss my kid's baseball game because I want to
Mm.
make sure they're getting theirs. But I mean, I didn't miss that stuff. I'm just saying, like, those are the types of things. I mean, my
Mhm.
son races, both of them race motocross, and we'll go watch their races. One's racing this Sunday, so we'll go
Yeah.
watch them. So I mean, that's the fun part of it too. So you got to make sure you're doing something, going to
Right.
Disneyland vacation, doing something. So we
Yeah.
definitely, we get to play hard too.
Yeah.
So
Well, and what I hear is that if you choose to shut off, right, that you have this team, this solid team that cares as much as you do, right? And that you've built this organization and in leadership and management, but also in a culture where you take ownership of, if somebody calls and they have a question, I want to make sure they know that we care. So if it means that you have to answer it or whatnot. And I really appreciate your mission statement here. We care to go the extra mile. And that's what I'm hearing is that whether it's the president of the company, of this giant company with 200 plus employees in multiple facilities, or, the person answering the phones on a daily basis, you're going to go the extra mile. And that's what I hear. And even in what you do for your team members, right? Where if, in the olden days, if you had to, the olden days makes it sound so old, but like in the past, if you had to give up something so one of your team members could have something or go do something, that's showing that you care and going the extra mile. So with your mission, many business owners, specifically when I first start working with them, they don't necessarily have a solid mission statement in place yet, or a documented mission statement. It might be there in the culture, but they don't necessarily have it documented or enacting it on a regular basis or building a conversation. So I'm curious, how do you build in your mission to your company culture on a regular basis?
make sure we're talking about it. We have to keep it in front of everybody.
Sure.
It could be a placard on the wall, or we can actually talk about it. And
Mhm.
by doing so, it'd be like, let's say you get a 5-star review and the customer said something about you, then we want to share that with you that,
Yeah.
I mean, we get a lot of 5-star reviews, but, it'd be like, hey, Julie, great job on that. You took care of the customer in this way. So you're being very specific. And, that's really going the extra mile. It's
Mm,
really showing you care. So you're
mm,
constantly putting in, we call them, our core values, we call them our care values, everything going around the word care,
mhm.
customer care rep, instead of a customer service rep. I mean,
Okay.
you've heard CCRs before, but I mean,
Yeah.
so we use those terminology to keep it going because really the first and foremost, our employees that's our number one asset. So we got to make sure our culture's right.
Yeah.
Then they'll take care of the customers. If they're happy, then they'll go to the customer's home and make sure that we're taking care of them.
Yeah.
So we don't just train on technical ability. We also have to train on communication skills,
Mm,
you know, whatever those life lessons be. We're part of organizations, where they're going to have to get up and speak in front of a group of people. They
mm.
don't like it, but after they're done with the training, then it's like, oh my God, that was the best thing I've ever gone through, type of stuff like that.
That's awesome.
But I mean, I was scared to death when I went through this
Sure.
it was called rapport leadership and or driven leadership. They're two different companies, but kind of the same message.
Mhm.
And both are amazing companies that we send our employees to, and it doesn't matter what level you're on.
Yeah.
We send our employees to get training, and we want everybody to get at least a minimum of 80 hours in a year
Mhm.
of training. So
Yeah.
we budget for it, and we want them to make sure that they're getting better. Now we do weekly training, as far as all the department meetings that we have,
Mhm.
but we still want to invest in our people. And again, it can't be just work all the time. It's this weekend we're going to a ball game all
Yeah.
together, and got 160 people with their family coming out to watch a local baseball game. So,
Awesome.
but I mean that's it. It's the
Mhm.
culture piece that's important.
It is. And it's they're part of something bigger. So it's not just
Yeah,
necessarily they're coming in, getting a paycheck and going home. The perk, right? But what I heard is, you talk about it, you live it, you give them growth opportunities where they're really building and you're showing that you care, basically living to the
absolutely.
mission. Yeah,
Best
definitely.
thing we can do is promote within too. So I mean that's obviously they already know our culture, understand it, know what we're
Yeah.
looking for, and if we can uh, produce future leaders. I mean, that's what we always
Mhm.
want to do. Sometimes we have to go to the outside, but for the most part,
Yeah.
we just started a We Care Academy where we had
Mm,
11 students. It's our second class we've done, but
mm.
11 people that didn't know anything about heating and air conditioning, and then put them through about 11 weeks, 10 to 11 weeks, depending on where they're at. But of
Yeah.
you know, 32 hours in a classroom and then 8 hours on ride alongs with our existing technicians. And they
Right.
they'll learn the heating and air, and they start with as a maintenance technician and then work their way through it and they'll become a service tech
Hmm.
and a senior tech, and then just wherever they want to go. We want to make sure we have career paths for people.
Yeah, no, that's great. And knowing that they have that opportunity, or what it will take to get to that next step, or if they want it, what they need to put in and how they're going to be trained and how you'll support them. So what would you say as an employer has been a top challenge as an employer?
So it goes, I mean, it goes right back to the employees.
Mm,
There's always something going on, and with a couple hundred employees, there's always something going on. And it doesn't mean that it's, sometimes it's something that, they're not happy, of
mm,
course, that comes up too. But I mean, for instance, we have a person that it's in the hospital right now, and it's
yeah,
something serious. So
yeah,
those things come up, and you have a job that needs to be done, but the
mhm,
person's health is much more important. So we have to accommodate to make sure that we're stepping up and doing something else.
yeah,
Yesterday, I was in an attic for 2 hours just because we have to maneuver things around that
mm,
we still got to get things done, but we're down a key manager in the company, so I'm going to step up and hopefully get that done. So I mean, it doesn't just stop with me. I mean, I'm not asking you to do anything that I wouldn't do, and the same thing with other employees. We've got 3 installers, and this is like you mentioned earlier. Summertime is our best time of the year.
mm.
Really, we need everybody out there
All
working
hands
as
on
good as
deck.
we can.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
is. It's all hands on deck, and
Mm.
we got to get to the customers quick because it's hot and they're miserable in their homes, and 3 are out for just had babies. So it's great, you got the family part of it, but at the same time, it's like, oh no, not right now. You know, you hold the baby for another few months.
I'm like, can't you hold the baby in? No, no, you can't. Actually, baby
Yeah,
decides
wait
and
till it's
baby
not
wants to
hot.
come. Yeah. No, it's all hands on deck. And that's, also maybe a nice tip here for those of you homeowners out there is get your air conditioning checked on a regular basis. Don't just,
Right.
right. Great. Yes. And so I guess then what would be your biggest lesson as an employer of, in growing your team or in your current team? What's been your biggest lesson?
I mean, for me, my biggest lesson would be the more in the accounting piece of it because I came from the field. I mean, I'm, from the ground up person. And
Yeah.
then to learn the numbers and, what the benchmarks and KPIs and all that stuff meant. First time I went to a training and they were talking about KPIs, and I'm like, what are they talking about? I mean, so and I had to go to the class not twice, but 3 times.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a little slow. So I had to listen to it again and again and go through this 3-day training class on operations accountability. So,
Yeah.
I mean, knowing your numbers and,
Mm,
I mean, I'll go as far as to say falling in love with your numbers because, we have to be a profitable business in order to stay in business because we have to buy new vehicles and uniforms and, computers and everything that goes with it.
mm,
So if we don't know our numbers, then we could fail. I mean, it's, take like the restaurant industry. That's like one of the hardest industries where it's the biggest failure rate,
mm,
so
mhm.
as a business owner, I mean, make sure you know how much, whatever you're making a burger, how much the bun is, how much the lettuce is, the pickles on. I mean, know your exact costs and the employee itself.
Yeah.
So going back, to start something all over again, I should say, would be a lot easier than it was learning trial by error, even though, people can tell you all that, but,
Yeah.
you have to do it, pay attention, implement it,
Mhm.
execution, follow up on it,
Yeah.
the accountability piece behind it and everything else. So are we
Mhm.
great at it? No, but we'll keep learning. I mean, I'm a student. I still listen to podcasts and read books all the time or listen to books either way,
Yeah.
or go to other companies that are successful and see how they're doing things and ask questions. We
Mhm.
want to constantly learn and how can we provide a better service to our customers and to serve our employees as well.
Yeah. Well, that's actually such a huge piece is the learning. You got to learn before you can earn.
Yeah.
So, it's constant. That's the beauty of entrepreneurship is that you are just a forever student because there's always going to be things that come up where it's like, okay, I got to learn how to maneuver this, or I got to learn how to do that, or I got to learn how to do it so I can hire the right people to do it, whatever that looks like. And you brought
I
up
mean,
another
that,
good
that's
point. Oh, go ahead.
I mean, that's actually a great point there too. Is I mean, best way to be successful is hire people smarter than you,
Mm,
smarter than me, right? I mean, if I surround myself with great people, I will get better.
Yeah.
if I got to be the smartest person in the room, we're in trouble. So,
Mhm.
I just have great people around me that makes me look good when it's really, all of us as a team working together to make us all look good.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, when you first started, you said it was, you and your wife. When was it that you knew, or I'll start there. When was it that you knew it was time to hire someone else?
I mean, we just started to get, more work was coming in. I mean, literally, we started off doing new construction, custom homes type of thing. And
Yeah.
I mean, I would just drive through the hills and see dirt moving or sticks going up, they're framing the house. And I would stop and ask if they needed heating and air conditioning.
Mm.
And the more I kept doing it, the more we would get work or, going through the Dodge report, showed all the permits being pulled. So we would just reach out and ask, hey, are you taking estimates on this? And,
Mm.
as it grew, then we knew it. I would say the two hardest hires I ever did was my first employee
Mm.
because I'm hiring someone, he happened to have two kids and a wife, and I'm going to take him away out of that to come work for me. And I got to make sure he's busy all the time because I don't want that on my shoulders
Mhm.
that, we can't pay him. We don't have enough work or
Yeah.
slow, whatever it is. So it's really scary to hire the first employee.
Yeah.
And then the next one was my first manager
Mm.
because, as we're growing, I was doing that
Yeah.
part too. So I mean, I was running as the jobs. We got 15 people, 20 people, 25 people. I'm still the guy. And
Yeah.
then to hire a manager to help me to do that, because you can't,
Mhm.
eventually, like right now, I couldn't do it by myself with 200 employees. So you
Yeah.
hire, managers
To
to
manage.
take those
Mhm.
departments. And
Yeah.
so my first one, I mean, he's still with me today. He's been with me for probably 21 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And, he was the first guy. And I was scary just because you know, well, this is how I do it. I mean, is he going to do it the same way? I knew the guy well, and I knew our first employee well before I hired him too. But
Yeah.
it's just that is this going to work? Am I going to have enough work? It's just the worry of making sure that all that stuff's going to go, and it
Mhm.
panned out. I mean,
Yeah.
we kept growing, and so here we are today, and he's still here, and
Yeah.
we're still
You
growing.
you obviously made a good choice.
Yeah,
So getting past that fear, the
yeah,
acronym for fear is false expectations appearing real. So, it was for you, it sounded like there was a need. You knew the roles, you knew where you wanted to take more off your plate so that it could free up more time for you to continue to grow the business. But then, facts over feelings. So sounds like starting to look at the numbers and better understanding those, and then you can have the fact and the feeling. So great. Thank you for sharing that. That's where a lot of newer business owners or business owners who are looking for that first hire, it's like where do they even start? I know a lot of times they're thinking about that, or when is it the right time, or is it the right time, or how do I know? So I appreciate that input, and that'll help some
yeah.
people.
And if you're doing the right things, I mean, some advice I got was, hire for where you want to be, not where you are.
That's
So
great.
if I hired somebody that's not really going to take me to the next level for
Mm.
that position I'm looking for, meaning that doesn't make sense. So if
Yeah.
I want to be 500 employees or whatever that looks like,
Yeah.
I want to take over the world, then I got to hire for that position early so that way that he or she can get us to where that
Mhm.
point is. So, I thought it was great advice. And then, of
Yeah.
course, inspect what you expect.
Mhm. Yep. Yes. Have a process to hire, make sure it's the right fit. Great. So with 23 years under your belt, where do you see yourself in 5 years, as well as what's next for We Care?
I mean, I'd probably say, I mean, the answer to that is I'll be in this chair.
Mhm.
I'm I'm a workaholic, but again, I love what I do, so I don't see me leaving anytime soon. So I mean, as I'm 54 now, so I mean, I don't see me slowing down anytime soon. I love the growth. I love the people. Like that's just fun to me. Like you know, you build friendships and all that stuff like that. So I like what I do.
Yeah.
So 5 years, I could see us really honestly doubling the size of the company.
Yeah.
Um, we're on a once you get past some hurdles, you shouldn't hit plateaus, but we all hit the plateaus and then have to rebuild and then see what we did wrong or right and
Mhm.
strengths and weaknesses, and then we build on that.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, your trajectory should be going. Profits and revenue should be staying pretty equal
Mhm.
It didn't for me all the time. No way. I mean, it went revenue up, profit went down. But I mean, you learn from those things. What do we do
Sure.
wrong? And,
Yeah.
so I mean, in 5 years, it would be here as far as we care. I mean, I really see them as it's a big part of me, and I see it growing. I mean, I really see it doubling the size, open up another location or two, and
I was going to ask that. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean,
Mhm.
I love that part.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, you can hear and I can feel the passion that you have for the business and for what you do, but not just the work, right? But it's also the culture and what you've helped create, what you created in your leadership. So I'm excited to watch that and see how that grows, and also being local, be able to give you some business as we talked about. So lastly, um, are there any special offers that We Care has right now? Or is there, how can people contact you or the business and work with you? What would you like to share about the business?
So as far as like for business, I mean, I would say that, go to wecareteam.com. There's always a specials page on there and they're posted on there of what's going on. I mean, we're also on radio or TV or something like that. But I mean, uh, that's a great one. Right now there is, where you're replacing your system, or maybe it's your plumbing or something, water heater, tankless water heaters, or,
Mhm.
new air conditioning system. I mean, there are tax credits available. There's different rebates from the manufacturers and everything going on. So it's always a good time now versus
Mm,
waiting, because prices keep going up and they're not coming down.
mm,
We've had those conversations about through COVID, as you know, that
yeah.
prices have gone up and up and up because of supply chain issues and stuff like that. And I've asked the manufacturers, I mean, once all this levels out and everything's good, will they come down? And they're like, no.
Mm,
So I mean,
mm,
it's unfortunate.
yeah.
I'm not on that side of the business and don't understand why, but I
Mm,
mean, the supply chains are getting better. I mean, you would think by now they'd be past all that stuff, but I
right.
mean, for us even to go get a vehicle is very difficult, to go find vans, and you
Mhm.
order them, they cancel the orders,
Mm,
you put in an order for 12 vehicles and
yeah.
you're waiting months beyond the date that they should have arrived. So I
Mhm.
mean, it's still a challenge out there in the construction side of the industry anyway, or the business.
Mhm.
So it's not all that easy. And then, so wait times and everything else. I mean, we try to take care of customers the same day, next day. If you have a new install, we want to get it in, hopefully within a week.
Right.
But the hotter it gets, the more it can get booked up. So do it
Yeah,
now.
back
There's the
that.
advice.
Yep. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Going back
So
to,
wecareteam.com.
yeah, there you go. Contact them so you don't have to be the first in, right? I have
Yeah.
so many questions, follow-up questions for that, but I want to be cognizant of time and just thinking about, how do you navigate through that and through all of this changes, but maybe that's a side conversation. So I guess, at this point, make sure you follow them, reach out if you have any needs, and get in early, right? Don't wait till it's, you know, high season and you have to be hot for some days, or freezing for some days lately. But we can't wait to see what's in store and continues to be in store for We Care. Again, thank you, Rusty, for your time and your expertise, and handing over some tips in this business spotlight. And thank you to everybody who's listening in. Thank you.